I've been asked to do this intro, calls to action thing. I think we should get Joe to do this. Joe, do you want to read this and then maybe I'll make it into the show. Read that intro. See, I think your voice will be better than mine. Try this one.
Right.
Go on.
From the top?
Yeah, we'll try it and we'll see.
Before we get started with today's episode, please make sure you listen all the way until the end if you're on Spotify or Apple. And if you're on YouTube, please watch right till the end and don't dare skip anything.
That's good.
Give us a like and whack that whack that subscribe button too. Once you've finished this week's episode. Once you finish this week's episode, how about you check out the others? We're already on G. So, hang on. We're already on G and you'll miss us when we're gone.
What?
So enjoy us while you still can.
Yeah, because we've only got 26 now. Tell us where the emergency exits are. I think that would help.
You've got a beautiful voice.
He has, hasn't he?
Such a good voiceover voice.
Oh, let's do the show. Come on. This episode is proudly sponsored by BP Me Rewards. Welcome to the world's #1 podcast, Soccer A to Z. This week, it's the Halloween edition. Please don't forget.
That was unprompted.
I know. Please don't forget we are the People's Podcast and we are saving football and we are helping society. Do you know what we've got lined up for Halloween this week?
No.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. If it is your first time to
That's what makes it Halloween special, right?
Yeah, it is, yeah. If it is your first time, welcome to our gang. Enjoy yourself, but please have some empathy and maybe show some sympathy to fellow members of the gang and no stealing. This week is our letter G. G for goat, greatest of all time, and we have some goats right here.
What an intro.
Yeah. First of all, we've got the First Lady of Football. She's zooming in from her farm, Helen Chamberlain.
Hello.
Joe is here.
Hello.
Hi, Joel.
And it's not me, it's you, Tubes.
Good. Hello.
It's not me, it's you, Tubes.
YouTube. Like YouTube. Yeah.
Because that's where he works.
We'll work on that when we do the show properly.
Robbie's not here today. He told me he couldn't make the show because he's working. Which is interesting. Good on him, though, because he's got a trilogy of children. He needs to support them. He's got Kitty I, and Kitty I. He's got his 3 children. And
when he says working...
Yeah, what does that mean?
What? Yeah.
He's got a shift at the local pub? I don't know. What's he doing?
I think he works in insurance.
Do you?
Yeah. Call centre. Something like
what
that.
do you think he does for earning money? Yeah, call centre maybe. Yeah.
He's probably making a video of himself unloading the dishwasher or something like that.
I was going to say, it's not potato season because we know he likes to chit his potatoes on the windowsill. He's famous for his spuds.
Yeah.
In fairness to him, though, his mundane videos are actually really good value, aren't they? If you watch,
some of his most popular was Bin Day.
Bin Day.
Taking out his bin.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I'll tell you, when I text Joe, sometimes it always delivers. I said to him, what have you been up to this week? And he said, tonight's bin day.
Still a bin already. Yeah. Like Santa. He's been.
Yeah. I once watched Robbie Knox speak to Michael Van Gerwen, the darts player, for about half an hour about bins.
He loves a bin.
Yeah.
Let's get him on bins. When's your bin day?
Friday.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a conversation we had on Sunday Brunch. Show I do on Sundays, Joe. It's got cooking and celebrity and all that sort of stuff, bit of music. How many bins do you actually have? Because it turns out, and I didn't know this, all over the country, everyone has a different amount of bins. Let's start with Helen. How many bins do you have, Helen?
2, black bin and the green recycling bin.
Well, what goes in recycling then? You can't throw everything in, do you? Do you throw it all in one bin? What goes in it?
Tins and recyclable plastics. I don't recycle any food because I've got something here that eats everything.
What about your paper? Where does your paper go?
I set fire to it.
So
what do you do with all the biscuit wrappers from the pigs?
In the recycling bin, if they're recyclable.
So I've got main bin, I've got blue for paper, red for tins and plastic, food waste.
What?
Oh, you've got a lot of bins.
I've got 4, and you can get a brown one as well for garden waste if you want, but I've only got the 4 because I don't really have much.
This is like the kits argument, football shirts argument. The clubs have too many kits these days. Do we have too many bins?
Well,
days.
no,
Tim does 5 bins.
Yeah,
That's
no one needs
ridiculous.
5 bins.
No,
hold on,
that's
but
too much.
That's
surely there's a reason for it. Surely they're recycling it properly that way. How many do you have?
Just 2.
How many do you have, Joe?
3.
So there you
I've
go.
got a normal household bin, I've got a recycling bin, and I've got a green garden waste bin.
I mean, how are we supposed to have a
And
cohesive society?
And a bottle thing as well.
How are we supposed to have a cohesive society when we can't even have a uniform bin collection? You know, we got it all over the place at the moment.
I reckon it all gets stuffed in the same place anyway, doesn't it?
Let's do you know what? I think that probably happens, which is really depressing, isn't it? That's really depressing. Joe, what have you as we're talking to you about your bins? We'll get Robbie started on bins. He actually had a beer called Bin Day for a while. I drank it. Very nice. What have you been up to this week?
Quiet, really. I went to the big bins. Remember the flood we had a couple of weeks ago? Well, I had to take some old bits of carpet to the tip.
Right.
So, I took them.
Tip's a great place. I love going to the tip.
There's the smell in it. Yeah.
I've got to say, I feel guilty when I go to the tip because I get the stuff and then I look at the man going, can this be rescued? Can we do anything with it?
I always have a little nosy at what's in the skips.
You do?
Yeah.
What, did you retrieve stuff from
I've fished a couple of bits out.
Have you? What?
I love that.
What?
No, me too.
A couple of sort of garden pots, a lampshade.
Really?
Once, yeah.
Wow.
We have a recycling shop at our tip.
Yeah.
Yeah, Leatherhead.
Damn right, Leatherhead.
You know that. What a shop.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, they've got golf clubs in there and all sorts.
Yeah, but that's like the Rodeo Drive of tips, isn't it?
Yeah, it's proper.
Beverly Hills.
Yeah, it is
I
decent.
love it.
Yeah.
All right, let's get an update from my favourite reality show. Forget Jilly Cooper's Rivals on Disney. The real drama is happening down on Chamberlain's farm. I mean, this is real. I know what's happened, and it is proper drama this week. Helen, what? I'm not going to say exciting. That's what I'm not going to do. I'm going to say drama instead. What has happened, Helen, on your farm this week?
Well, the pigs escaped.
Oh.
I mean, they didn't escape out onto the road or anything like that. I've had that before. There's paintballing down the road from me, and they rang me up one day and said, "Your llama is in our car park." Wait, again. Yeah, and I've had to go and one of my Rias turned up at the golf club. Up the road. That was quite dramatic. But the pigs, they just escaped from their pen into the field, but they churned it up. They churned up the top half of the field. So I'm really exasperated.
Oh, so they didn't escape and then keep running to flee you. They escaped and then just stayed there.
How do they escape? Do they tunnel their way out, or do they tie a load of bed sheets together and throw them over the wall and climb over?
It's kind of, there's no point in even answering that because it was just the question. They're in a pen with post and stock fencing, and where they came from, they had electric fencing, so they respected that, and they don't respect the stock fencing. So they scratch their butts on it as well, and they just bend everything, and then they end up either going over the top or underneath. Yeah.
You have electric fencing. Who are you, Ken Bates?
No,
Yeah,
I
do you remember
don't.
that?
No, I don't have electric fencing, which is why they're not respecting their boundaries. They came from somewhere that had electric fencing.
Your animal prison is rubbish if the animals keep escaping. So it's like it's very leaky, isn't it? The prison.
Porous.
You don't want to be locking up your bad animals in Helen's prison, do you?
No. HMP Chamberlain.
Have you finished?
No Alcatraz, is it?
Because I've also, it's not really farm news, and I get it that this is a podcast. This is more of a visual than a verbal. But I rescue animals and stuff all the time. So I'm fostering this little dude this week.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm going to describe what Helen has just been handed for our listeners. She's been handed a fluffy dog with a white chin. And it just looks like a cockapoo type thing. I don't know.
It is.
It is.
Yeah. What's her name?
Yeah.
White belly. Is it? Is it?
Hang on, tell us the name, and then we'll guess whether it's male or female.
Yeah.
Man or woman?
Okay.
Man or woman?
He was named.
Well, you just said pig.
Oh, sorry.
I reckon it's a man dog.
Man dog.
Well, it's Barnaby. So it's a dude.
So how have you rescued? Does Barnaby not have an owner?
Barnaby was surrendered to the rescue centre because he was the person who got him was unable. The thing is I don't really ask detail. The owner of Rescue Remedies dog rescue just every now and again messages me, said, can you foster this dog? And I go, yeah. And then I drive down because they put them in kennels, and he's only a pup. He's not going to do well in a kennel environment. So they say, can you just foster this dog? And they're already they've already got people who want to adopt him. They just have to go through the process of vetting them all. So meanwhile, he's here.
How long?
Don't fall in love with him. He's going to go.
Yeah. How long will you have him for?
It's fine. It just depends. I've had them for the shortest is like a week, and the longest is I've had a couple of months, and then they go off to their new families. But it's good here because of all the livestock and the chickens, and I've got fields. So if they've not had their vaccinations and stuff, that I've got places that they can run around without having to mix with other dogs and things. So it all works out.
They just have to avoid electric fences.
I've been taking my dog to the gym.
Why?
Do you know how he lifts?
Go on.
Weights.
Jesus Christ. We will get, if you're tuned in for football, we will get to that. Well, I don't know, we will actually. Let's go on to Tubes. Tubes this week, it's a great joke, but Tubes this week announced online.
Podcast is so daft.
Random. The thing is, we all knew the joke was coming, didn't we? We're all just sitting there waiting for some crap punchline, but it was actually really good. Tubes,
yes.
You announced on social media, and you can go to your YouTube channel, Golf Life, because you've done your announcement of whether you're having a man baby or a woman baby.
Yeah.
Are you having a man baby or a woman baby? You're having a
woman baby.
Yay!
Yes.
I suppose Chelsea's too obvious for a name.
Chelsea, it could be an option.
Down to Chelsea.
Go on to Chelsea. Come here, Chelsea.
Hello, Chelsea.
Blue.
Yeah. What about Bluey? Blue?
No, I don't really like all the new names. I'm quite traditional.
Traditional, like
yeah.
what?
Just things.
Lisa.
Nah, not like that. But
like a Charlotte.
Discuss names.
Julia.
No, more like Molly or Polly.
Helen.
Or, yeah.
Polly. I like Polly.
Yeah,
quite good.
Stuff like that. So I think there's some real daft names these days. So yeah, it's a woman baby. Looking forward to it, and also being teaching fenners how to play golf.
Yeah, big news. Big news. Tell us about that. Tell us about that.
Him.
Go on.
So we got approached by a company called Ben Ross, and they're a good golfing manufacturer, but they're cheap and they're good for like people beginners to golf and. Like quite high handicappers.
Yeah.
And they said, we'd like to work with you. And I said, well, why don't we do something where we teach one of our friends from scratch how to play golf? And then I said, what about fenners? And they were like, yeah, we'd absolutely love fenners on board. So we're trying to teach him.
I saw you know what, I saw Jimmy Bullard last night do some social media stuff.
Yeah.
Was it you did it?
It was
yeah, you did it. And so Jimmy Bullard's teaching him how to...
Yeah, so he's going to get lessons. So he's got 6 months basically to break 50. And he had his first round yesterday, first 9 holes. And I can't tell you what he scored, but it was quite a lot.
Who's teaching him? You?
More than 50.
Not me. So Jimmy's going to help him, but he's also going to get lessons and practice on his own. So it's a big old series.
For anyone who doesn't know who fenners is, because they might have tuned in and don't listen... Don't know what Soccer M is. I can't imagine anyone listening to this who doesn't know Soccer M is. He used to work with us constantly. He was the presenter of Soccer M. Yeah. So he
all the voices.
But he's never played golf, has he? No.
Yesterday was his second round ever. So it'd be entertaining. But yeah, that's what I've been up to.
Cool. Well, you have to let us know how he gets on. Right. On Sunday brunch this week, we had David Baddiel. And we were discussing the good old days of fantasy football and soccer. And we never actually went up against each other, did we?
No.
Mm-mm. No.
So Blur and Oasis.
Because it was those two were the big shows. And Saint and Greavesy just before us, right?
Yeah.
So Saint and Greavesy, football focused. Then it came into the sort of fan stuff, which was fantasy football. And us. Did any other shows come along at the time? Oh, there was the one with the bloke off...
Under the Moon was... Channel 4, do you remember Late Night Under the Under the Moon?
No, I don't.
There was
Danny Kelly and...
Oh, right, okay.
Vaguely, yeah.
There was the one where they used to go around doing the football grounds, didn't they? What was that called? It'll come to me in a minute anyway.
Was it Simon O'Brien?
Yes. What was that called?
Can't remember.
Anyway, we've got lots of questions coming in from our readers. Adam Helsby said, who from the current crop of Premier League players would you like to have as a guest whilst on Soccer AM? Also, Mob P says, worst game you've ever been to. We will answer those questions on Friday's edition of the Q&Q, which stands for question and quiz. We've had loads of G's sent in from our listeners. Helen?
Cy Fines says, Glenn Hoddle. I mean, had to start with that G.
Can I just say, I played a lot of charity football, and he's the best player by a country mile that I ever played with, or I played against him actually. He was at Swindon, and I went down there. That man, his skill level, I think he's the best player this country's ever produced. He's every time he trapped the ball, I was stood marking him. He trapped the ball, and he was about 10 foot away from me. It was the guy's. He was at the end of his career. I think
I reckon he could still do a job in League Two.
Yeah. You were no threat, Tim. You were no threat.
He was desperately trying to nutmeg me the whole game. I was kept on trying to tackle him with my legs closed.
Waddling.
Yeah, I was. What an absolutely amazing footballer. Sorry, carry on. What are the G's?
That's right. Paul McCullen says gloves. I think Joe's sent this in under a guise. Gloves. Soft southern lads and foreign types wearing gloves. Toughen up, lads.
Yeah. I agree.
Dan Bradley, another legend, Gaza.
Gaza.
Yeah.
Another. He could also be one of the best players we've ever produced.
Yeah.
Well, he is.
I think he is. What a genius.
You beat him at table tennis once, didn't you? In the studio?
Ping pong.
Ping pong prince.
Phil 1975 says, hey, game's gone. Game's gone.
Game's gone. That's good.
But it's just become a sort of everyday phrase now, hasn't it?
Yeah.
If something doesn't work on the checkout till at Sainsbury's, game's gone.
Yeah.
It's basically anything new. I wonder how many times the game has gone in the last 10 years. Game's gone. Petey Pooh's golden goal. Last used in 2002.
Didn't last long, did it?
Over 20 years ago.
I did like golden goal.
No, I didn't.
The opposite.
Did you not?
No, because it kind of just the game just sort of died, didn't it? It was like it just withered out.
You had too much to lose. Didn't you?
So everyone just defended.
I prefer your idea of bringing back the penalties from the halfway line tubes.
100%.
Citrus Lime says grounds new v old. Has moving stadiums helped or hindered teams? What do we think? Well, Leicester did well by moving, didn't they? Bolton.
Joe, what about the Reebok?
We got promoted last ever season at Burnden. We got promoted back to the Premier League and then came straight back down again, if I remember rightly. Not great. It's all right. We've kind of settled into it now. It's had about 6 different names.
Phil Forrest says Graham Souness flag incident. Yeah, that was very interesting, wasn't it? Who did he? Galatasaray.
Yeah,
Fenerbahce and Galatasaray.
Yeah.
Which one did he manage?
He was Galatasaray.
Wasn't he? And Shan says Soccer AM, the only show to give you goals, and goals. And that got me
forgotten about that.
goals. We did that every single week, and it got me thinking about G for Gooner in the gallery. Leads me on to Andy, who joined the show with me, and I'll tell you quick, the reason why it leads us on to him is we used to discuss that all the time. We wrote it in, I think, the first week or so, goals, and every week we were going, should we drop that, or do we say that we've got the goals? And in the end we've decided it was so rubbish that we would keep saying it every single week. And I think Helen, did we do that for every season?
Wasn't the whole line, we're the only breakfast show in Britain that brings you goals.
Yeah, it was.
So I'll tell you the story of Andy Shandy Gooner in the gallery quickly, because he for Soccer AM fans, he was a big part of the show. So I was at Big Breakfast, and first time, no one at the Big Breakfast liked football. I know this is a weird thing to say. There was me, there was my mate Barnsley, guess where he lived and he came from. there was Andy Harris, and there was Chip. There was like a few of us who would talk about football, and everybody else, everyone hated it. When I left there to come to Soccer AM, they bought me a football because they thought I was so quirky. I liked football. That was how the industry was back in those days. It hadn't had the explosion yet, because it was 1996, and I got offered the job of producer presenter of the show, but I needed someone to do the gallery. And Andy Harris, I'd been talking to him, big Arsenal fan, as you know, and he'd just resigned a few months before or a few weeks before, and as he left, he kicked the bin over, going, "F you all, I'm better than you all," or something. And he walked out in a bad mood because he had a short temper, didn't he? And I thought he's the man for us. But the reason why he was there was another bin incident where we used to argue a lot because we were both quite fiery characters. I remember him kicking the bin once, having a go at me, and then he had to walk out the office with a bin on his foot. But we always made up and laughed a lot afterwards. But the thing is about him is he was the good, I was the good cop and he was the bad cop. He basically went into all the bosses and said, the studio's not big enough, the show's not big enough, we need this, we need that. And
he was the attack dog, wasn't he?
I was too scared. Andy was straight in there all the time going, we got to make the show bigger, everyone's watching it, we got to do this. And we used to have these massive meetings where we were trying to decide what was going on. And I remember one of the meetings we were offered the Spice Girls, and we both came to the conclusion they were never going to be very big.
Yeah, and what became of
it? So he turned it down. And the other thing I'll quickly say is, as Helen knows this, he had this brilliant thing that he kind of wanted to call every comedian funny man, because he thought it was funny to set them up by calling them funny man before they were. It really amused him. So it'd be funny man, then fill in the comedian's name, and then all the way through the script he would leave little jokes for Helen and me. Do you remember? He would say,
no, I don't remember this at all.
So he used to do swear words all through the script. You don't remember this, they were our directions, because we used to go down and read a script, and one of the guests read them once. Yeah, he used to put swear words and stuff and little jokes for us all the way as we read through our scripts, because most of our show wasn't on auto cue, was it? It was only the intros where we have the welcome backs and stuff, so he used to have it constantly. I'll tell you about one off air because it's very, very funny, but he used to do that. So I used to be reading through the script and then there'd suddenly be a load of profanities in the script and I'd be going, oh no, here we go. Yeah, you employed you, didn't he, Joe?
Yeah, he was good, Andy. Yeah, he was all right.
By the way, if you don't remember him, he played Pat Butcher.
Yeah.
Who else did he do? Oh, he did Mike Reed, Run Around.
Yeah.
And he did, who else did he do, Helen?
Right, he did Frankie Howard. Yeah, that was his, misses. And the thing about him was, as well, I used to see through him. He used to pretend that he hated it. So Tim would say, can you do Frankie Howard this week? And he'd stomp around the office and on the morning of the show, I've got to go into makeup. I don't have time for this. And then he'd burst out of the lockers going, Mrs. No.
He was brilliant. He
was absolutely brilliant at it. And I think that secretly he loved it. He just did that. I'm going to pretend that I don't like this. And he was very good at it as well.
Yeah. Sadly, Andy has passed away now, but he was an important part of the show. He brought us Joe, who got sacked from another show. Is this right, Joe?
I did. Yes, I did. For excessive partying and tardiness.
So you got sacked off a show, and then Andy saw you and joined Soccer AM.
Well, I'll keep it brief. Right, when you first started, I had to do Soccer AM on the Saturday and Goals on Sunday, I think, on the Sunday.
Soccer Extra.
So was it called Soccer
Extra? Maybe, yeah.
So it meant getting up really early.
Extra, yeah.
Like both Saturday and Sunday mornings. And when you're in the prime of your life, as it is, your prime years, you want to be going out and all that. And I lasted for about a month and then came in one Sunday morning a bit late.
How late?
About 3 hours.
Oh,
yeah. And
still steamboat.
A bit.
So then you got sacked. How did Andy find you though?
Because I went and saw Andy. Said, "I've had a bit of a mare," and he said, "Don't worry, leave it with me."
And he put you on the show.
And he went off and did his thing, his manoeuvring.
Right.
And all that. And the next thing he came back, arm around the shoulder, you're in, son, you're back. So it meant all I had to do was Soccer AM, so I didn't have to do Sundays anymore. So it worked out all right.
Because they ridiculously put me in charge of employing everyone, and I had no idea what I was doing. Do you know what I mean? I was just like, jobbing producer type thing. And the only way I could decide, because I didn't have an education. I know it'll shock you because I seem really bloody smart, but I didn't go to
I know what's coming here. I know what's coming.
No, I left at 16, so the school, and then I blagged my way through it all. But the only way I could judge people was on what they looked like. So Fenner's turned up, and he had a good haircut.
He had a good haircut.
He had a good haircut. And I was like, oh, I'll give him a job. And then I interviewed Robbie and Neil and people like that, and I'm like, what are you into? And they'd say, I don't know, something that I liked, and I'd go, oh shit, you can have a job then. And that's the only way I knew. But
I never left, so you had to give me a job. I just kept coming back.
You're still on work history.
But I always thought it would be the best thing is if everyone gets on with each other, and we did. There was a couple of bad apples, weren't there? But generally, I think everyone got on, didn't they?
Yeah, we all got on. Yeah.
Anyway, we're supposed to be a football podcast. Should we do our G's?
Yes.
Who wears the crown? Joe, you wear the crown.
Oh, yeah.
Put your crown on. Let's start with Joe. Joe, what have you got for us?
Oh, God. G, it's a big one, G, and I've done you a kind of party bundle.
Oh no,
of G. So instead of one, you've got three for the price of one. First up, grasshoppers.
Oh yeah,
where it all used to happen.
Yes,
where the walls. What went on in grasshoppers stayed in grasshoppers.
Stays in grasshoppers.
Grasshoppers was the rugby club across the road from Sky, where everyone used to go post show for a sort of bit of relax, bit of R&R, and and so you'd just go in there at 12 o'clock on a Saturday, and there'd always be a game on. In my mind, it was always Leeds.
Yeah, always.
Like
everywhere.
that Viduka kind of era, Leeds were always on in grasshoppers upstairs in the bar. And you'd go in and it'd just be rammed, like with everyone who'd come down to the show, all the audience, all the guests, rugby players who were getting ready to go. And there'd be that little old bloke with his chef's hat on knocking up breakfast, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
And everyone would be having an omelette or a breakfast or something like that, and the bar it'd be brilliant. It was great times.
I'm sure grasshoppers will come back in this podcast a lot because there's some good stories from them. What's your other one in your party?
One of the funniest things for me on Soccer AM ever was the Geordie Dancer.
Geordie Dancer.
Geordie Dancer.
Yeah. I used to laugh my head off whenever he came
So Geordie Dancer was just a video sent in to us, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then we thought he was brilliant. He was in a local pub in Newcastle?
Nightclub, and he used to kick, didn't he?
It was a nightclub, that was it.
Yeah.
I think he should do it before kickoffs on a Saturday afternoon in a pub. Do it.
I thought he did it after games.
No, he used to get the crowd going before. Probably did it after as well.
But it was because the way he dressed as well, because he had slacks on.
Yeah, he used to have a pair of brown slacks.
Proper great mullet as well.
Yeah. With a belt and his black and white tops tucked into his trousers.
And he ended up, I believe, getting an agent.
Did he?
I think so, and I think he used to hire himself out in pubs. So good on him and make a few quid.
Yeah, he was brilliant.
It was the high kicks, wasn't it?
Oh, he was amazing.
But which he didn't have. Was it a left foot?
Left foot, he could kick with his right, and his left foot would fall over.
So somebody would dangle ball, but somebody would dangle and he'd kick it with his right foot, and then everybody would shout left foot, and he'd attempt his left foot and end up on his arse.
But he had to go, didn't he? He had to go.
And then he had the Macca Mover.
The Macca Mover spawned off the back of him.
Jamie Redknapp found the Macca Mover, didn't he? Do you remember there was a cutaway? Yeah, there was a cutaway. Obviously, Sunderland game, cutaway of a guy in a Sunderland shirt, and he was doing a little bit of body popping, and Jamie Redknapp was on comms, and he said, "Oh, that's the Macca Mover." So by that weekend, we pitted them both together, and then invited them both down to the studio for a dance-off. And the really tragic thing was
a show!
The Macca Mover won by a country mile.
Oh.
Yeah,
what happened to Geordie Dancer? Was he ill or something? Was he?
I prefer the Geordie Dancer, the original. He's the OG.
He was great.
What's your last G, Joe?
But the Geordie Dancer, the best thing about him was he never said a word. No idea what his name was. Anything about him. He never said a word. His expression never changed. He never gave anything away. He was
your last G?
And his choice of tune was magnificent.
Yeah. What was it?
Dancing with Myself, Billy Idol.
That was
absolute banger.
Yeah.
My last one, Gravy.
gravy.
Oh, Northern boys love gravy.
You know where that comes from? That comes from a Southern guy I know.
What, a stereotype of Northerners?
No, a Southern guy I know used to say gravy all the time. He used to go, that's a different gravy. Constantly tell me everything was a different gravy, so that's why I sort of started saying it on the show, not on the show to everyone in the office, and then I was like, just every time anyone talked about fish and chips, Northerners start going, oh, what about gravy? And that's why it's kind of like, do you know, actually going back to employing people, what I loved was as soon as I heard your voice, I was like, yes, get in, and as soon as I heard Fenner's voice, I was like, amazing, and Ian Minear with his Geordie accent, lovely, because there's too much Southern accents on TV. Helen obviously has the West Country, a tiny bit going on, but to have Northern accents on TV, I always thought it was such a great thing. Otherwise, it's just full of Southerners like
everyone's
Tubes
an Arsenal fan.
Yeah, Tubes and myself.
Do support Arsenal.
It's like we're Mockneys, and that accent is just too much. So it's lovely to have all the Northerners on there.
Can I tell you a quick story about different gravy?
Yeah.
I was shopping in Guildford town centre years ago, and I walked past a little corner shop, little independent boutique, men's boutique called Different Gravy. And I thought, oh, that's odd. So I walked in and fella behind the counter and I said, how come your shop is called Different Gravy? And he looked at me and he said, oh, it's quite an interesting story. There's this television show called Soccer AM. And the bloke on there was always saying that things were different gravy. And I just thought it was a really good name for a shop. And I went, okay. And he went, yeah. And I went, I used to work on Soccer AM.
Wow.
And he went, oh yeah, so you did.
That's brilliant. What were they selling?
It was men's clothes, higher end men's clothes. So it was a little boutique.
Great name.
Nice. If that's what men's clothes shops called. Do they still call boutiques? I don't know.
My G, by the way, this week is I've gone for a different approach because I'm not winning. I'm just going to scatter some Gs. I'm doing a scatter approach, and hopefully my scattering approach will lead to one full volume where Helen goes, do you know what? They were so good that I'm going to give.
Seems like the rules have changed a bit.
Yeah,
you
can't just have 10 goes at winning it.
Yeah, you've had three. You've had three stabs.
A good G.
They're very quick. Goal line technology, when did it first come? It's like a bit of a quiz here. When did it first arrive?
Oh. I'll tell you when it first arrived. After the 2010 World Cup.
What was the first game?
The first game of the 2011-12 season.
Wrong, 2014.
Lampard's goal?
2014.
Yeah, you know why? And I'll bring it in one day. I've got that ball.
2014. 2014. First goal was given in a game between France and Honduras in the World Cup in Brazil. The Premier League was the first major league to use it. Goalpost.
Do you know what I like about
when did they stop? Sorry, I'm doing my
doing his G's.
I'm doing my.
He wants the victory.
Goalpost. They used to be square. When were they banned from being square?
71.
No, a lot later.
No, later than that.
What, because you might bang your head on a sharp corner?
I assume so. FIFA banned them in what year? This is supposed to be quick. It's scattergun.
I said 85.
Oh, you were very close. 1987, Helen.
Ooh.
That's good. I have some more as we go through the show. That's my approach.
Do you know what I like about goal line technology? It's the way the ref's watch beeps.
Yeah,
he gets a little beep on his watch. Brilliant.
Great fact from me. Helen, do you want to do your G?
Yeah, I can do my G. My G, golden shoe, golden espadrille.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Right. Tim, you invented 2 new awards because you were annoyed that none of them took into consideration a goals per game ratio. Golden shoe was for our domestic leagues.
I'm such a
great memory.
Honestly, most of the things that were invented on Soccer AM was because Tim was annoyed about something else. Because what was it? The Forces last week is because he was annoyed that breakfast TV shows only looked after the Forces at Christmas. Yeah. So again, Tim was annoyed that nobody took in the goals per game ratio. So of course, but because it was Soccer AM, The golden shoe was a tasseled loafer sprayed gold.
Nice. And
glued to a wooden base. And the espadrille, same, and managed to somehow look worse. Thierry Henry won them both 3 years in a row. I used to go down to the training ground to give him his on the press day. To bloody hand him these ridiculous things. Thierry Henry, and I'm standing there with this damn tasseled loafer sprayed gold. But on the second year, I jokingly said to him, here's another one to throw in the bin. And he said, no, I've still got them, the shoe and the espadrille at home. And so when he won them again the following year, I went down again to the training ground. All the players are coming out. No Henry. You don't understand. Press day at training ground near the last game of the season is horrendous. Everybody's there and you wait and wait and wait and wait and wait. But I was waiting. I'm talking hours. No Henry. So then a taxi pulls up and the driver opens the rear door, rummages about for a few seconds and brings out 2 golden shoes and 2 golden espadrilles. Thierry had meant to bring them in to prove that he still had them.
Brilliant.
He forgot.
Oh, good.
He forgot. He saw me outside and hid until the taxi that he rang to go to his house to fetch them had turned up, and then he came out and we lined them all up. There's a shaky YouTube video, or it's on YouTube, of him winning them because he's quite funny about it as well, how he accepts the award. But then Ronaldo won them. Both a few years later. Right. So this is post-Lovejoy era. This is PLE, post-Lovejoy era. So off I went to Carrington, again on press day, to give Ronaldo his shoe and espadrille. One of our producers, Dave Morgan, met me up there. And I said, have we got like a ballpark time? I know we have to wait. What's our time with Ronaldo? And he cheerfully said, oh, no, we don't have any time with him. Manchester United said no. He said, we've just got to bum rush him when he comes off the training pitch. And I'm talking with autograph hunters, competition winners. I was fuming. There we were hanging around with these. Then brilliantly, Rio was heading into the building and he spots me. He comes over to say hello and he asked why I was there. And I said, I've got these. And he goes, Ronnie, come on, Cristiano, come on over here. He got Ronaldo over for me. So I not only got to present Cristiano Ronaldo with his golden shoe and espadrille, I called him Chris at the start of the piece, which made Tubes laugh like a drain, which was worth getting up at 4:30 in the morning for. Golden shoe, golden espadrille.
That's good. Yeah,
that's a good G.
That's very good G.
And do you reckon he's still got him?
Well, funnily enough, the first ever recipient of the golden shoe was David Connolly when he was playing for Wimbledon. Do you remember he scored stupid 46 goals in a couple of seasons? And I contacted him this week and said, you don't still have your golden shoe, do you? And he said, go and check my Twitter. And I scrolled through his Twitter and blown me there. He's tweeted a picture of his crusty old golden tasseled loafer, all cracked up. He's still got it. He's kept it all those years.
That's why we've got to
well done, David Connolly.
Yeah, we've got to do an award from this podcast, haven't we? Because people actually do like any old award, don't they? As long as it means something. I think that's so good. Let's have some stat chat. Danny Rosamond says Niall Quinn was listed as the third keeper for Ireland in Italia 90. He once scored a goal and saved a penalty in the same game for City in 91. Great stat. Joe says the fastest own goal on record is by Torquay United's Pat Cruz versus Cambridge United in 1977. How many seconds was it, Helen? Do you know?
6.
Wow, how do you even manage that?
That is impressive.
And that is Stat Chat.
I've got a stat. Oh!
Too late, you missed.
Oh, no.
You missed.
Never mind.
Go on, what's your stat, Helen? Go on. What is it?
I got this off Coach's Voice on Twitter. Tottenham's Vicario is the only goalkeeper not to take a single long goal kick in the Premier League this season. That's 40 yards. But I thought it tied in with a G as well. Goal kick.
Just before we go to tubes, I've got another one of my G's, which are peppered throughout the show.
How many of these do you get?
I've done a new approach. Rather than doing one big one, I've gone for a myriad.
It's like a buffet. G buffet.
It's just like it's good fun for you as well. It gets you to join in as well. When did they stop doing designs in the pitch? I'm talking about groundsmen when they mow it, because you remember years ago, Southampton, they used to have all those lovely patterns.
Leicester,
and then the people, the man said, they said no more. We're going to have to just have straight lines. Boo. They ruined it for the groundsmen. But what year was that?
I reckon 2007.
Ooh.
2007?
Yeah.
No, way away.
2001.
No, it's 2017-18 season.
Oh.
So it's quite recent, actually. Rule stating that the playing surface must contain no markings other than the traditional horizontal and white lines. Tubes, what's YouTubes? Me tubes, no YouTubes. For some reason that's stuck in my head now. I wish I hadn't said that. I'm going to start calling you YouTubes. Well, yeah, that's where you peddle your wares, isn't it, on YouTube?
Absolutely.
Golf life. So tell us, what is your G?
My G is my hero, Gianfranco Zola, la 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 la, Gianfranco Zola, la 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 la. Gianfranco Zola. Zola. He's my hero. I love him. He's the reason why I'm quite good at keep-ups, because I used to get to Stamford Bridge early and just watch him. He used to boot the ball up in the air, control it, do kick-ups, and I thought he was an absolute genius. When he came on Golf Life, I was so proud. I was absolutely buzzing. He's the nicest man I've ever met within football, and I just thought he was an absolute genius. When I had my heart problems, he was the first person to call up. Everything about him, he's unbelievable. And it just got me thinking, who is the best?
You're going to have to hold that thought. By the way, Ronaldo, I used to go early when Man United played us, because Ronaldo's tricks and skills before a game were unbelievable. But you're going to have to hold that thought.
Okay.
You got it? Hold?
I've got it.
Held, YouTubes?
Yeah.
Because we have a special guest now.
Oh, go on.
Very exciting. We can hopefully speak now to the legend of Sky Sports and Liverpool. That is Jamie Carragher. Hi, Jamie.
Hi, Tim. Hi, gang. Thanks for having me on.
Yes, Jay.
Jamie, thanks so much for joining us today. Though you have ruined football for me a bit now, because I love the TV stuff so much that I actually, when I'm at the games, I'm missing what you and Gary and Roy Keane and everyone's saying. Are you enjoying doing the show?
Yeah, I'm loving it. I mean, obviously, I've been at Sky now over 10 years, so it's I'm a football anorak. I'm obsessed by the game. So if I wasn't going to go into coaching, it was always going to be in some sort of role. And I think I'm very lucky. I think I've got one of the best roles on TV. Certainly doing Monday Night Football to get really in depth and deep into the game. And almost like being a coach without having the pressures of the supporters, but you still get that pressure of social media, and people give you a little bit of abuse about maybe your analysis or your bias to a team or against the team. So that's just the world that we live in right now. But I'm very lucky with it. I really enjoy it.
I love your relationship with Gary. How long did that take to come together, that relationship?
Oh, that was there right from the start. There was always a little bit of needle between the two of us when we were with our England and played against each other, because I think we were probably the similar sort of person at our clubs, where we weren't the superstar player. You know, that was probably Scholes at United, or at Liverpool, that was Steven Gerrard. We were seen as the club men, the solid citizens who give you 7 out of 10, but would give everything and die for our clubs, if you like. So we were similar sort of shop stewards. Both had a little bit to say for ourselves. And and I think that's why it works, because I think we can almost say anything to each other without the other one being offended, and that's not always the case on TV.
Jamie, Curtis Jones played well on Sunday, and he was interviewed post-match, and then Kelly came straight to you afterwards. it's so nice, isn't it, as a Scouser, to see other local lads. Do you feel that extra little bit of pride? Well, I know he's been at the club since he was, 9 years old, but you must feel that extra little bit of pride when local lads are still consistently coming through to the Liverpool squad.
Yeah, it's a big part of the fabric of the club and the history of the club. And it's not just Everton. I'm the same with it's not just Liverpool. I'm the same with Everton. I love to see their local players come through, and they probably haven't had one for a little while. Actually, Anthony Gordon was the last one. He's moved on to Newcastle. But I really feel that sort of not my role, but when I'm on TV, I am very proud, not just of my football club, but my city as well. So if local players appear in red or blue, I've always got the back a little bit. It'll take a lot for me to be critical of them, and that's certainly my bias on TV, to try and push people from the city of Liverpool and give them a little leg up if I possibly can. So, for Curtis Jones, I think that was probably his greatest moment in a Liverpool shirt. It was only a few days ago that him and his girlfriend had a baby, and then we saw that with the celebration as well. And then to be, man of the match in a game of that magnitude, live on Sky, gets the winner at the Cop End. That'll be a game you'll talk about in sort of 15, 20 years' time when he comes on the Soccer AM podcast.
Yeah, we should have had a pen though.
Yeah. Talking about podcasts, Jay. Tell us about your new one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure how many I'm involved in now. I feel like it's taken over the world. I mean, is there anyone out there who hasn't got a podcast?
Nah, I don't think so.
I mean, I'm not sure there's many left who haven't, but we've got the Stick to Football podcast with the lads. That's been going a while now, but me and Gary and Rebecca Lowe have started one. That's obviously a podcast that can go anywhere, but you can listen to it anywhere. But with an idea of maybe trying to hit the US market with ahead of the World Cup there in about 18 months. So I think there's a big drive to, obviously get the podcast out there. And would you believe Gary Neville has set the podcast up? He's asked me to get involved in it because he wants to crack America. That's his next goal. I mean, I said to him, there's only the Beatles and me on TV to crack America. So, I mean, there's not much chance of Neville, is there? So he needed my help, so I've had to join him. I was a little bit reluctant at first, but yeah, it's up and running.
Jamie, talking of America, your CBS stuff with Kate, Abdu, Thierry and Micah, we get to see clips of it on social media. That's for the American market. That looks brilliant. Why can't we watch that?
Yeah, I mean, it's something to do with the obviously the rights to the Champions League, so certain bits of it can't go out. What is actually frustrating a little bit, especially for Thierry Henry, is he's brilliant analyst, Thierry Henry. So the stuff I do on Monday Night Football is the stuff he does on CBS, and that comes out before the game. And then after the game, it's a little bit more relaxed. We have a laugh and a joke. But because of the rights of the Champions League and so it's an American. For the American audience, it can't be shown in England or Europe. So he gets frustrated that all anyone sees of the clips of this show is the funny bit. It just does. So he's not showing himself. He's desperate for a manager's job and he can't get one.
Is it a big show in America, the CBS stuff?
Yeah, I mean, listen, obviously the time difference. So I think it goes out in the middle of the afternoon. So
right, okay.
Not going to match, what they get for obviously the American sports over there, but it's got a huge following. I'm very aware that the UEFA and the actual Champions League love the show. They actually invited us over to Athens a couple of weeks ago for the EC, so the European Clubs Association, which is basically the clubs all get together once or twice a year and basically maybe fight against FIFA or UEFA or talk about how they can get better and be stronger together. So they asked us to come over and do the show. So we did our show in front of them, in front of the PSG chairman. He's the head of this your ECA. Anyway, so I was just watching him on the front row, a little bit bemused about some of my Scouse terminology. I hope it went down well.
Brilliant stuff. Just before you go, Jamie, Tubes is just talking about Zola being one of the best players.
I know what's coming.
How did you get on against him?
Yeah, I don't think it went too well. You won't believe this, actually. I get sent this clip on the anniversary every year. I think it's sometime in the middle of May. But randomly on an international break, because there's not football, so Sky's social media departments decided to just put this clip on and say, look at this, Zola twisted blood, like that. I'm like, I got onto Sky. I DM'd them. I said, I'm supposed to be one of your top pundits. You ridicule me. It's not even on the anniversary. I don't mind the anniversary, but I don't want it in the middle of October. I don't want it in the middle of May.
Was he one of the best you played against?
Yeah, he was brilliant. And you know what? I never forget a game, because I think he came in about 95, 96.
Yeah.
And I think he made to come. Did he come in the middle of a season? I don't know if he started. I don't know if he came.
Yeah, I think he did. I think he came in the middle. Yeah.
And Liverpool played Chelsea twice within about 2 or 3 weeks, and one of them was a famous cup game. I think where Chelsea came back 4-2.
4-2. My favourite game.
Yeah. And then the other game, I think Chelsea won 1-0 in the league. So this was at the stage when I was just travelling with the squad. I wasn't on the bench. I was sat on the bench, but I wasn't stripped. And I remember just sat between the benches watching Zola, and I just couldn't believe how good he was. You know, when you're at pitch level, you're really low. You can realise the speed of the game, and you know the size of him, how small he was, but how stocky he was, how strong he was, and the way he used to control the ball. And I feel like when we talk about foreign players, he was one of those ones at the beginning that we'll always remember. We'll always have like a really special bond for. Probably him, Cantona, Bergkamp, those type of players. I mean, lots of great players afterwards, but they felt like the first real sort of superstars that we had in those number 10 positions that we all obviously fell in love with.
Jamie, thanks so much for joining us today. Good luck with your new podcast. Can you tell Gary better luck cracking America than he did Spain?
I'll be using that one.
Don't say that.
Nick that one off, yeah.
Amazing.
Jamie, thanks. Keep up the great work. Get Gary to come on. Cheers, mate.
Not now. Bye.
See you later.
So, Tubes, Jamie interrupted your Zola, but it was a good story nonetheless.
I held my thought, and Jamie just mentioned it there. He said, so I was going to say to you, legends, like, who do you think in that era, who's in the top 5 foreigners to come over? I've got, for me, Zola, Bergkamp, Cantona, Schmeichel, Patrick Vieira.
What was interesting about that is what Jamie was saying is there was kind of a lot of negativity towards the foreign player there. Alan Sugar, I remember saying they won't survive a season, they just come over here for some money and stuff. And Zola came over when he was 30, didn't he?
I think they
were all sort of a bit. That's not over the hill, but. Yeah, they weren't in the sort of younger, up-and-coming years, or the original.
But they were all amazing, weren't they? My favourite was Hullet. Because I always say I couldn't believe I was watching Hullet play at Chelsea. I just couldn't believe it.
Because he was playing sweeper, wasn't he?
I couldn't believe it. When I was like looking at him on the pitch thinking, there's Ruud Hullet playing for us. That's ridiculous. Then Desai came over and stuff. So, yeah.
The one I liked who never really gets mentioned was Alan Boksic. Who came over to Middlesbrough. He was just absolutely mustard.
Yeah.
I think he was only here for about a year or a season or two.
What a strike.
But he was great. Yeah. Alan Boksic. Yeah. Brutal up front, wasn't he? Yeah.
Sticking with Borough, Janino.
Yeah, they made some good signings for her. Yeah. Emerson as well, and Branco.
Yes,
they made some great signings for her, didn't
Ravanelli.
they? Ravanelli went to his house once.
So did your boys.
Bolton. Yeah, we did.
So many.
It was really exciting, wasn't it? It was really exciting when they're all coming over because they were so good, and we were used to just sort of bland percentage football at that time, weren't we? Like hit the channels and you know and not much skill, and then suddenly these guys come in and start doing all the skills. It was sort of fantastic,
unbelievable.
All right, should we have a go at what's wrong with football?
Yes, please.
Harry Trefoin says when fans abbreviate names to letters and numbers, for example, Pulisic being called CP10, that only works for R9 and CR7. Grinds my gears.
They're all trying to market themselves, aren't they? Good on them for doing that.
Yeah, I mean, David Beckham had DB7 on everything, but he wasn't really... Nobody called him DB7, did they?
Bex.
No.
Bex, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Gildercio, subs not being ready to go on. Shirt, shin pads, socks, boots, hairbands, going back to dressing rooms, even in the lower leagues. Subs should be desperate to get on and ready to go.
I'm totally with that. It is madness. If you're a substitute and you're on there, they go, oh no, shin pad, it's madness. Yeah. It's a great one, that.
Okay. Silly mid-tom. That's a cricket thing, isn't it? Silly mid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Tim, he says not. So somebody agrees with you, not allowing patterns cut into the grass pitches, stripes only. You just mentioned that.
Yeah,
so
I'd say they agree with or your Waffa rather than me. It's nothing to do with me, but it's them and the Premier League have decided that they're not allowed to do that. I think we've nearly come to the end of the show, so it's nearly time for Helen to announce who's going to win and wear the crown this week. But just before that, just a couple more G's from me.
He's trying his hardest here with this.
Come on,
I just don't think he's very confident in his material, is he? He's just scattergun approach.
Have you won any week yet?
No.
No. Okay, so I see what you're trying to do.
Whiff of desperation about him.
I don't think it's going to be this week either, to be fair.
What is the width between G for goalpost? What is the width between the?
You're not going to win it with this.
What is it? What is it though? What is it in yards? Width.
No.
Width between where the goalie stands. If he looks at one, then looks at the other. What's the distance?
I don't know. 6.
8 foot high.
8
so
yeah, 10 yards.
8 yards. 8 yards. 8 yards. When was the first?
Okay.
When was the first graphics put on a football match?
You are clutching at straws here.
Yeah, this is actually. I love this. This is actually brilliant because there was so many complaints about this when they first put the Sky were the first people to do it. They put the score and the time throughout the whole game rather than just bring it up permanently on.
Yeah.
And people went mental about it. Said it's ruining the game.
No, it's not.
Broken foot. I know, but that's what happened at the time. People don't like change. People do not like change.
Game's gone.
Game's gone. That's what they were all saying, Helen, back then. Game's gone.
But it was a great idea because you used to, when the big match was on a Sunday and they didn't have the score on it, you used to have to wait.
I know,
for Brian Moore to say.
And people hated it when it happened. They hated it.
And they'd put that round clock thing on to show you how far through the half they were.
And they hated the swoosh.
Oh, the whooshes.
The whooshes. They hated it. People hate anything.
Do you remember when Rafa Benitez did it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when was it that they stole? By the way, Sky stole it from Australia. I believe Australia.
I'm going to say 1975.
Sky?
No, 1992.
No,
yeah.
no.
The graphic.
Tim's just said the first graphic that ever appeared on television.
No, the first time it stayed up 100%.
Oh, stayed up.
Yeah.
Oh, well then it's going to be 92.
Yeah, 16th of August 1992. Forest against who were they playing for? Arsenal, wasn't it? No, Forest.
Teddy Sheringham scored.
Yeah, who were they playing?
Scored.
Forest.
Indeed.
Well, Liverpool. They're playing Liverpool. That was it. Forest, Liverpool. So there you go. And the first time digital on-screen graphic, which was called the dog at the time.
Was it?
Digital on-screen graphic, a dog. I think that's enough for me to win this week. Helen, what do you think?
Let him down gently.
I win.
Let him down gently.
Who's winning?
Me.
Okay, that's the end of this week's show. Well, we're actually back on Friday with the Q&Q questions and quiz, and then we'll be back next Tuesday with the letter H. So it's H. We'll see you next week. Anyway, bye. I'm disappointed with that win. Right then, thanks for tuning in to the latest Soccer A to Z. If you love this one, click here, dive into the rest because there's loads more where it came from. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok at Soccer AZ Pod or email hello@socceraz.com.